And these entities, if they find the possibility to enter into this dimension, they will do that. These entities can be malevolent, they can be demonic, or they can be angelic. These entities are known since the beginning of time, so to call them aliens, it's a little bit ignorant, because how can we call alien something that we know from the times of ancient Atlantis, ancient Egypt, ancient Sumerian times? I mean, you see what's my point, Todd?
Yes.
Strange, to say the least.
I've always thought that that's kind of one of the interesting things that went on with the advent of, you know, the late 60s, all the massive drug use going on, and a lot more interest in the occult suddenly, and in different kinds of spirituality, demons, angels, all these things opened up at that time due to the use of opium and the use of LSD and different things. Because I've never done a drug in my life, but as I was reading it, I thought, you know, that really does make sense that it would open your mind up to different possibilities, because we only use such a small fraction of our perception and of our minds that I think that would be almost an alteration of how we see things. So that makes sense that it would open a window for these things to come into your life.
At the end of the 60s, where obviously in the hands of certain people, in the occult hands of certain people, a great experiment, just like the previous years were. I mean, where did this experiment started? That's the interesting point. And what is the point of this experiment, and who are really the occult manipulators of this whole transformation of our society? That is really the interesting point, I guess, Todd, no? Don't you think so?
Oh, yes, yes, for sure.
So we know that obviously this is an age of great transformation. It's the dawn of a new era. We understand now that this new era has developed in the last 100 years. But what was the starting point of it? Well, we have to go back, I think, probably at least 250 years to start understanding the level we are in now. Certain people came into the scene. Especially a couple of characters were, let's say, very important for this scene. One was the Count of Saint-Germain. The other one was Count Cagliostro, Giuseppe Balsamo, who was the secret chief and supreme magus of the Illuminati order. On top of him, there was Count Saint-Germain, who was ultimately somebody who had reached a stage of illumination which was far beyond human comprehension. These people, these humans, yes, human, but with a very in-depth knowledge of the metaphysical kingdom, worked within the realm, as we know, of secret societies, of Freemasonry, in a time in which Freemasonry was very different from nowadays. In a time in which Freemasonry was definitely a time of more in-depth analysis towards the metaphysical kingdom and the non-manifested world, or the invisible world of the entities. But they were obviously working somehow more in connection with the light side than the dark side, and they were working in a different time, because also, you see, we are manifesting slowly the kingdom of God, and this manifestation of the kingdom of God, as I said, was filtered through these secret societies and through Freemasonry, which is not a society with secret society, because everybody knows Freemason. You have it in every corner in America. But this is a society with secrets. All the mediums of today, a lot of them, refer to the school of Allan Kardec. And the Church of Rome obviously saw this kind of thing as very negative. In fact, they pushed the writings of Kardec to be burned, and a lot of this, and previously, a century before, when Cagliostro was alive, and he was sentenced by the Vatican, arrested, locked in the castle of San Leo in 17 I think it was 1792, if I don't get it wrong, or 1782. I might just get the date wrong, but I'm going to check on that. But basically what happened was that Cagliostro had created in that time his own rite of Freemasonry, which was known as the Egyptian rite. And this rite, on the contrary of the other speculative rites born in that century, which still are practiced within Freemasonry to this day, had a contact with the metaphysical and with the invisible. After Cagliostro was arrested by the Vatican and sentenced, he died after 4 years because he wasn't kept in normal conditions in this castle. The Vatican was so scared about Count Cagliostro that they locked him inside this castle under the ground, something like 10 meters under the ground. He wasn't anymore allowed over the ground. He was guarded very much, and he ended up dying on the 26th of August 1795. The famous Illuminati of Adam Weishaupt went to Cagliostro and gave him not only the possibility to be the head of the Council of 12, the Supreme Council of the Order, but basically they made him the secret chief and master of the whole Illuminati. So the Illuminati were opposing, in a way, the Vatican at that time, as we know, because they were also in league with the Jesuits, who had been thrown out of the Vatican and who are the magicians, let's say, in charge of magic within the Vatican walls to this day, who re-entered after a few years the Vatican and were taken back into the Vatican. But the Jesuits are the people who to this day are in charge of the secret Vatican library, so of all the secret evocations, spell, grimoires that can conjure this kind of entities. Everybody in the United States that studies the paranormal or wants to get a bit deeper into the subjects which we have mentioned today needs to really see the importance of Count Cagliostro within this whole charade, let's say. Now, Count Cagliostro, then a century after, more or less, we have Eliphas Levi. Eliphas Levi comes into being always through the same secret societies and of Count Cagliostro, even belongs to some of these groups that were started by Cagliostro himself. Yes, the Egyptian rite kind of faded out because of some of these practices which I told you about, which were really of so much of a magical nature that some people could get upset. Also because by doing what he was doing, he was really a threat to the Vatican, especially when he went back to Rome, and this was obviously a trap set up by the Vatican. But how did Balsamo know all this? Well, yes, he used the invisible forces sometimes, genuinely, to know the future, but other times he himself was writing the future. Why? Because he himself initiated Napoleon in the countryside near Rome into the Illuminati and gave to Napoleon the highest of highest mysteries of the Grand Hierophant, making him basically Imperator of the Rose Cross, of the Rosicrucians. So Napoleon was made the Imperator of the invisible and metaphysical kingdom before he was actually installed in the real one. Gotcha. But he was warned by the people who initiated him to not abuse of his power and to never really try to achieve the same power in the physical kingdom, because that will probably bring onto him the death, which, as we know, came after, when he was arrested the last time and he was eventually poisoned. Alchemy is the art basically is the royal art, but it's also the art of transforming something.